Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Now, they say a week is a long time in politics, but a year, well, that's an eon, isn't it? That's the entire lifespan of the universe. Because just a year ago, Nicola Sturgeon was leader. Nicola Sturgeon announced that there would be a referendum on the 19th of October. And Nicola Sturgeon and the SNP were enjoying a 20-point lead in the polls. That was just a year ago. Today, there's no referendum. There's no Nicola Sturgeon. And there's no 20-point lead in the polls. Far from it. We'll take a look at this story and see where it all went wrong, what's happened and why such an absolutely spectacular collapse has occurred in such a short period of time, relatively speaking. It's a long time in politics, of course. Here goes. So, Nicola Sturgeon's independence referendum is consigned to the bin of history, as is their 20-point polling lead. And indeed, so is Nicola Sturgeon. Unless she comes back from the dead, who knows? The former First Minister's announcement of a Skexit vote on October the 19th ended up causing her downfall, claimed critics, as the SNP were roundly mocked for their failure. We all didn't go and vote yesterday, and it's just a marvellous thing to see. October the 19th could have been another monumental day in Scottish politics if the SNP could keep their promises, which of course they can't, they never have, they never will. All they do is lie. Nicola Sturgeon took to her lectern at the Scottish Parliament, announced that this would be the date for the second independence referendum where Scots could vote. There was only two things wrong with it. Number one, she didn't have the authority to call a vote. And number two, she lost the court action when she found out that she didn't have the authority to call the vote. And so that kind of blew her off course a little bit, somewhat off course when she realised that all she'd said and done was wasted. Her whole life in politics, wasted. Nothing she could do about it. What a sad, empty life she's going to end up with. Gave her life to the cause of Scottish independence and will lay on her deathbed and Scotland will still be in the Union. And she'll sit there and come back and haunt Humza Yousaf. Anyway, October the 19th could have been another monumental day. We've said that. But this dream has turned into an absolute nightmare for the Nats, as October the 19th has come and gone and there's still no poll on Skexit. And there's no more Sturgeon or Murrell is in position of power in Scotland. In fact, nationalist politicians have been remarkably quiet on what should have been a massive day for them yesterday. The Independence Day vote was never actually officially axed by the SNP. Oh no, they never axed it because that would have drawn attention to it. They more quietly swept it under the carpet after the UK Supreme Court ruled that Holyrood does not have the power to legally legislate for one, which we said from day one. It was outside their power, their authority. They do not have the legitimate power to do this. Everyone said from day one they couldn't. And even if they could, it wouldn't matter. The Westminster could have just said Section 85 and blown it. Boom. It won't matter. It just doesn't matter. The only way you get a referendum is if Westminster allows it. And Westminster has said it's a once in a lifetime. Once in a generation, not once in a lifetime. Once in a generation. And 2014 to 2023 is not by any stretch of the imagination a generation. Anyway, Tory MSP Stephen Kerr pointed out that the Nationalists had taken a nosedive since last year, with Humza Yousaf now in charge of them, flatlining in the polls. If it's possible to go below zero, he will do it. I mean, that's where they're going. They're going to end up with negative votes the way it's going. He said last year, Nicola Sturgeon, with her deputy John Swinney, announced an independence referendum during a 20-point SNP lead in the polls. Now, there's no Sturgeon, no Swinney, no NDF2, and no poll. And to be honest, no future, no hope. How fast politics changes. Wish. That is politics now. And it is just great, isn't it? It is popcorn. It's absolute popcorn. We've watched, in the last year, we've watched them collapse. Literally, like, boof, internal implosion. Famed Scots broadcaster Alec Neil poked fun at the SNP's excuses for their resounding defeat in Rutherglen and Hamilton West, where bad weather was blamed for the low turnout. He said, today's the day, and he's talking yesterday, of course. He said, today's the day. Nicola Sturgeon said there'd be a second referendum on Scottish independence. I hope the inclement weather does not deter you from voting. Ouch. So sharp, Mr. Neil. Cutting. Sacked SNP MP Angus MacNeil, who claims he was dismissed due to him pushing for independence, wrote, there might be no promised independence poll, but if I can, I'll run one on Twitter. Yeah, because that's going to make all the difference, isn't it? Glad to see he's still calling it Twitter. Anyway, Times columnist Alex Massey, because they're all launching in on it, aren't they? Times columnist Alex Massey was brutal in his analysis that the referendum announced had actually led to Miss Sturgeon ending up resigning in February. He pondered, last summer, Nicola Sturgeon announced that an independence referendum would be held on Thursday, October the 19th, 2023, and thereby set in motion a train of events that would lead to her downfall. This is something to keep in mind as you head to your polling station tomorrow, he was writing a couple of days ago. But voters in one part of the UK can head to the polls as two by-elections have been held in Tamworth and Mid Beds, and we've done the video on that, and what a spectacular result that was. In Scotland, the Scottish Lib Dems pointed out that it marked another promise the SNP didn't keep, and they're keeping very quiet about it. Nobody in the SNP is mentioning it. They're all like, shh, keep mum. At least this time, the majority of Scots will be happy with the outcome of it, since there's no appetite for another referendum, where we have a cost of living crisis and long waits to the NHS to tackle. She said the nationalist leadership's bid to fire up the party activists and buy themselves more time has been thoroughly backfired. I suspect the latest cunning plan announced at conference will be consigned to the same bin. Well, it took them 2 days, and on the video on that as well, it took them 2 days after conference to more or less say, yeah, they're bidding it already. 2 days. He stands there at conference. This is my brilliantly great plan. 2 days later, it's not going to work, is it? We'll just bin it. And they've binned it. They have no idea what they're doing. They have no clues. They don't know where to go because there is nowhere to go. They're sad and they've got nothing. Literally, they've got nothing. No ideas, no hope, no future, and no clue. Also, no members, no money, I think it's all over for the SNP. Never mind. Coming up. I know, it is just wonderful to watch, isn't it? And they don't know where to go. This is the thing. They're milling around at the moment. And they're like farts in a trance, aren't they, as described at conference. But they haven't got a clue what to do, where to go, direction of travel. They are literally treading water now. They haven't got any policies that they can chase up on. They've got a court case going through, maybe, that may or may not result in another complete repudiation of their policies. But that's it. They've got nothing to offer. They're standing every day in Holyrood and they're talking, but they're not saying anything. There's not a single policy they're actually succeeding in. Every policy they've announced has ground to a halt, been cancelled, been blown out of the water, or the courts have said no. Why are they even being paid? They're not doing anything. Just abandon the whole lot. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. You can't get... What is going on with them? They're literally losers at everything they do, aren't they? Anyway, until next time, stay safe, stay well, and let's just treat them like the losers they are. Bye.